March 2022, my buddy Derek gets his first real paycheck, $4,800 after taxes. He's pumped, does everything right, opens a brokerage account, types best mutual fund into Google, picks the first name he recognizes, and throws in $3,000. 2 years later, that $3,000 is worth $2,310. Not because the market crashed, not because Derek got unlucky, because he paid a 1.2% management fee every single year to a fund that underperformed the S&P 500 by 14%. He paid someone to lose his money slower than he could have lost it himself. And here's the part that'll stop you cold. According to S&P's 2024 SPIVA scorecard, over the 15-year period ending December 2024, not a single U.S. equity category, 0 out of 22, had a majority of active managers outperforming their benchmark. For large cap funds specifically, the underperformance rate exceeded 90%. That's not a bad year, that's the rule. I'll explain why that happens in a second, but first, if you've ever Googled index fund versus ETF versus mutual fund and walked away more confused than when you started, this video is for you. Here's exactly what I'm going to walk you through: what a fund actually is and why it exists, the 4 main types: index funds, mutual funds, hedge funds, and ETFs. How each one is managed, what it costs you, and who it's actually built for, and the single most important number to check before you put a dollar into any of them. By the end of this video, you're going to have a clear framework, not just definitions. You'll know which fund fits your situation. That's the goal. Here's the system I want to teach you today. It's simple. Understand the fee structure, match it to your goal, pick the right vehicle. That's it. Small decision, massive long-term impact. We're talking the difference between roughly $963,000 and $1.22 million over 30 years on the same $500 monthly investment, just based on behavior and fund choice. I'll show you the math in a minute. You don't need to be a finance expert. You don't need a financial advisor. You just need to understand what you're buying and what it's costing you. Let's go. What is a fund? Before we get into the types, let's lock in the foundation. A fund is pooled money. That's it. You, me, and 50,000 other people throw money into the same pot. That pot gets invested across dozens, sometimes hundreds of assets: stocks, bonds, real estate, and everyone shares in the gains and the losses proportionally. The benefit? Instant diversification. Instead of buying one company's stock and praying it doesn't collapse, you're spread across the market. One company has a bad quarter, it barely moves the needle. Now, the way that pooled money gets managed, that's where everything splits apart. And that's where most people make their biggest mistake. Index funds. Let's start with index funds because they're probably why you're here. An index fund doesn't try to pick winners. It just copies a list, an index of companies. The S&P 500 tracks 500 leading US companies. The NASDAQ tracks tech-heavy giants like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon. The Dow Jones tracks 30 large established companies. An index fund built around the S&P 500 buys a piece of all 500 companies automatically in proportion to their size. As of early 2026, Nvidia sits at roughly 7% of the S&P 500, so about 7 cents of every dollar you put in goes to Nvidia alone. Apple, currently the 3rd largest company, sits at just under 6%. No human is making those decisions. No one's guessing. It's mechanical. It's passive. And that's what keeps the cost insanely low. We're talking expense ratios, the annual fee you pay, of 0.02% to 0.2%. On a $10,000 investment, you're paying between $2 and $20 per year. That's less than a Chipotle burrito. Companies like Vanguard, BlackRock's iShares, and Fidelity run some of the most popular ones. One thing to know about index funds is that they only price once a day, after the market closes. That's called the net asset value, or NAV. Place an order at noon, it executes at 4 p.m. For long-term investors, this doesn't matter at all, but it's good to know so you're not confused when your trade doesn't go through instantly. Here's what most people don't realize about index funds. It's not a compromise. Legendary investor Warren Buffett, who spent decades building Berkshire Hathaway into one of the most valuable companies on earth, has publicly and repeatedly said the average investor is better off in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund than almost anything else. That's not a modest advice. That's one of history's most successful investors telling you the boring route wins. Mutual funds, the one with the manager. Now, mutual funds look similar on the surface: pooled money, diversified holdings. But here's the key difference. Mutual funds are actively managed. There's a human, sometimes a whole team, deciding which stocks to buy, which to sell, and when. Their job is to beat the market, to outperform that S&P 500 benchmark. Sounds better, right? A professional in your corner? Here's the catch. That expertise costs money. Mutual fund expense ratios typically run 0.5 to 1.5% annually. Some go higher. Let's run the math Derek should have run. $10,000 invested, 8% average annual market return, 30 years. With a 0.05% index fund fee, you end up with roughly $99,000. With a 1.2% mutual fund fee, you end up with roughly $72,000. That's a $27,000 difference on the same market, on the same investment, just from fees silently eating your returns every single year. And remember that SPIVA data from the opening? According to the 2024 SPIVA year-end scorecard, over the 15-year period ending December 2024, not a single U.S. equity category, 0 out of 22, had a majority of active managers outperforming their benchmark. For large-cap funds specifically, more than 90% underperformed the S&P 500. You're paying more for worse results the vast majority of the time. Now, that doesn't mean mutual funds are worthless. Some investors want access to a specific strategy, a fund focused on emerging markets or small-cap healthcare or international bonds that index funds don't offer cleanly. That's a valid reason. Just go in with eyes open about what you're paying. Like index funds, mutual fund trades also execute at end-of-day NAV, not real-time. Hedge funds, the private club you can't afford to join. Hedge funds are a completely different world. The name hedge originally meant protecting against risk, but modern hedge funds aren't really about safety. They're about chasing outsized returns using aggressive, complex strategies. We're talking short selling, betting a stock will fall, leverage, borrowing money to invest more than you actually have, derivatives, currency plays. If index funds are a sensible Toyota Camry, hedge funds are a custom-built race car. High performance, high risk, and definitely not street legal for the average person. They're private. You can't just open a Fidelity account and buy into a hedge fund. You need to be an accredited investor. The SEC defines this as a net worth over $1 million, excluding your primary residence, or annual income over $200,000 or $300,000 combined with a spouse. That filter exists because the risks are genuinely extreme, and the fees? The famous 2 and 20 model. You pay 2% of your total investment annually, plus 20% of any profits the fund makes. On a $1 million investment that earns 15%, that's $20,000 in management fees plus $30,000 cut from your profits, $50,000 off the top. They'd better be delivering exceptional returns to justify that. And some do, but many don't, especially during volatile markets where complex strategies can backfire dramatically. ETFs, the flexible cousin. ETFs, exchange-traded funds, are where it gets interesting. Think of an ETF as an index fund that trades like a stock. Index fund prices once a day after market close. ETF trades in real time, all day long, just like Apple or Tesla. You can see the exact price at 10:47 a.m., decide you want in, and buy it instantly. That flexibility is the main difference. Everything else looks familiar. ETFs are mostly passively managed, tracking an index. Fees are low, typically 0.03% to 0.75% depending on the type, and because most brokerages offer commission-free ETF trades, your cost to get started is nearly zero. Want exposure to the S&P 500? You can do it through an index fund or an ETF that tracks the same index, same underlying assets, just different delivery. The main reason to prefer ETFs over traditional index funds? Flexibility and tax efficiency. ETFs have a structural advantage that generates fewer taxable events for you throughout the year. For people investing in taxable brokerage accounts, not just 401ks or IRAs, that matters a lot. Let me make this real with the latest numbers. According to Dalbar's 2025 Quantitative Analysis of Investor Behavior, which covers performance through the end of 2024, the average U.S. equity investor returned 9.24% annually over the past 20 years. The S&P 500 returned 10.35% over that same period. That doesn't sound like much of a gap, but here's what it actually costs you. $500 a month, 30 years. At 9.24% average investor behavior, approximately $963,000. At 10.35%, matching the S&P 500, approximately $1.22 million. That's a $257,000 difference. Same monthly investment, same 30 years. The only variable is whether you're chasing, panic selling, and picking the wrong funds, or simply tracking the market through a low-cost index fund or ETF. And in a single year, that behavior gap gets even more brutal. In 2024, the S&P 500 returned 25.20%. The average equity investor captured just 16.54% of that market, leaving 848 basis points on the table, according to Dalbar. The biggest outflows happened in Q3, right before a major market rally. People sold low. They missed the rebound. Again. So what should you do? Here's the framework. 3 questions. 1. Are you a long-term investor building wealth over 10+ years? Start with a low-cost index fund or ETF tracking the S&P 500 or total market. Vanguard's VOO, iShares IVV, and Fidelity's FZROX are popular starting points with ultra-low fees. 2. Do you want more flexibility or you're investing in a taxable brokerage account? Lean towards ETFs. Same diversification, more control, and a structural tax efficiency advantage. 3. Do you believe in a specific sector or manager strategy? Mutual funds might make sense, but check the expense ratio first. Anything above 0.75% needs a very strong justification, because most won't beat the index that costs you 0.03%. Hedge funds? Unless your net worth clears 7 figures and you have the risk tolerance to match, not your lane. At least, not yet. If this helped you, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach people who need to hear this. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, and I'll see you in the next one.